Next on the Broadway Show, Play Ball. Take Me Out is back on Broadway, and I'm here talking with Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Plus, he's wicked good. Tony winner Cleavant Derricks is here to talk about returning to Broadway as a Wizard of Oz. And it's a whole new world on the road. You'll meet the stars of Aladdin on tour across North America. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is the Broadway Show. We're all about pumpkin spice and everything nice this autumn on Broadway, and we're here to bring you the fall favorites. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Thanks for being here. Game on, it's the return of the Broadway revival of Take Me Out. Starring Tony winner Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Tony nominee Jesse Williams. It's a story of America's favorite pastime and just what happens when one of the game's top stars comes out as gay. I had a chance to catch up with Jesse Tyler Ferguson. First of all, I have to ask the question, what is it like going back into the show with a Tony sitting on your mantle?
Oh my gosh. It's humbling. It's really exciting. You know, we closed the show the day before the Tony Awards, so we had a wonderful last performance, and then the next night we had this really successful night at the Tony Awards. We won Best Revival, and I got to pick up an award as well, but then we all just sort of disappeared into the night. And so I'm just really excited to sort of come back together and celebrate that. It's a great ensemble, and we would not have won that Best Revival without the strength of every single one of those cast members. So, you know, it does feel like a group celebration.
You know, when you smile for somebody, I think that's how everybody felt that night.
Yeah.
You know, because it's exciting to see somebody that's worked really, really hard. You've been on Broadway, television, you've been so many places, but to see somebody so appreciative, I think that's what it felt like.
Yeah, that I mean, it was basically almost to the month, my 25th anniversary of being a member of Actors Equity. So to be a part of that community and then to stand in front of them and be able to thank them for welcoming me in was really profound and meaningful.
What is it like going back on stage now with that Tony?
Hopefully, you know, nothing will change.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully just, for me.
You won't be carrying it out.
I will not be carrying it out. It's actually not even in the city, it's in Los Angeles. You know, I mean, I had a lot of anxiety and sort of imposter syndrome about doing this part just because Dennis O'Hare, who originated it 20 years ago, won a Tony Award for it and was so brilliant in it. And, you know, even up until the last performance, I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this character justice. I mean, it feels like I'm doing a good job, but to have that award, I just feel like it's a little bit of insurance that I created something valid and good. So I guess for me, hopefully I'll just relax. I was the same with Modern Family though. I was like, are we getting canceled? And you guys won 5 Emmy Awards. You're fine.
It's so funny to hear you say that though, because we all have it, right? We all have imposter syndrome, though when you get to a certain level or you've done enough performing or whatever it is that you've done, people would assume that I have complete confidence. And so I appreciate you saying that because I think that people relate to that, no matter what industry they're in. I don't think we ever feel completely comfortable, right? Because that's what makes us work so hard.
I mean, I don't. I really admire the people that maybe do.
I'm not
or maybe they're lying. I don't know.
But I appreciate that. I think that does something, though. Doesn't that make you come with it every day?
For sure. I mean, I've never stepped on stage without being nervous. And, you know, even if I've done a show, I don't know how many times I had to take me out before, but it was you know, we did quite a few performances, almost 100 performances. And even at the very end, I was always nervous. Mostly because Jesse Williams was a wild card. Now, he's great. But he'd be the first to be. He's like, I don't know. We'll see what comes out today.
We'll see what happens. Just follow my lead. What do you want to come out of this story in this next iteration in the next 14 weeks?
Well, I want more people to see it. You know, after we won the Tony Awards, so many people came up to me and were like, I can't wait to see it. I'm like,
That's
it's
great.
Closed. So now I'm happy that they have that opportunity. There's so many people who are discovering this play for the first time, and I want them to, you know, see this beautiful production that Scott Ellis directed. I love doing work that means something, and so the fact that I get to ride this a little while longer, it felt like we had unfinished business with the play. We were really hitting a stride at the end of our run at Second Stage. So for me, I kind of want closure with the cast because again, after the Tony Awards, when we just sort of like left, it just felt so anticlimactic to end that way.
Well, let's talk about you personally. I know you're going to be here during the winter time, so sorry about that,
Yes.
but thank you very much. Broadway thanks you for that. How are you doing personally? What do you have going on?
A documentary that I produced, Broadway Rising, about Broadway returning from COVID, is going to be coming out in December. Premiered at Tribeca Film Festival, and that's finally going to be coming out. So I'm going to be working a lot on that and getting that up and running. And I'm also expecting a kid in the next, few weeks, months-ish. There's like a window. Apparently, like there's a whole thing with the female body and the baby comes out when it comes out. I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
We try to time it out.
When we did the first, when we had our first son, we called it curbside pickup because that's what it felt like. Because everyone was doing the curbside pickup, so we called it curbside pickup.
How do you balance that? How do you balance dad with?
I'm still figuring that out.
Okay.
Totally.
You haven't gotten a Tony for that yet.
No, I haven't
know
even
if
been
they can get
nominated
those
for a
out.
good dad yet. I have a great son who, was so fun to be around during that period of time. It was great to have that balance of coming home and having something else to focus on. So we'll see how the second one goes. It's going to be twice as amount of work, but those are my big projects.
Being a dad, does that change how you are on stage, do you think, or yourself as an actor? Has it given you different levels?
I have access to emotion in a different way.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I went and saw the revival of Death of a Salesman a few nights ago. I went to the opening. I've never seen that play as a father, and it destroyed me. It just destroyed me. So that's a perfect example of just how I think art affects me differently just because I have this other person in my life that I care so much about. It also, I think, helps me unwind after a show when I know that I have some other job to do when I get home. When I was younger, I would live within a play and be in that world of the play 24/7. I was just always thinking about it.
Sure.
And this, I have to turn it off and I have to focus on something else. I think that's really important, that balance.
Talk a little bit about the documentary. I'm curious how it
it's directed by Amy Rice, who's a really brilliant documentarian who I've been a fan of for a very, very long time. And we've been looking for something to do together. And she called Justin and I in the early days of the pandemic and said, I want to do a documentary about Broadway coming back from COVID. And I said, well, what we need to do then is it has to be about the entire community. It's not just the actors and the producers and the front-facing people of this community. It's about the doormen. It's about the people who are sewing the costumes.
Yes.
All these people's lost their jobs and are struggling. And it's about the ensembles and like the people. Of course, Patti LuPone's gonna be fine. This community is very, very large. So. I wanted to really highlight and showcase all these different people that make up this community. The comeback from that, and those people who were around during those early days of Broadway returning, know that the joy and the elation of coming back and coming together and celebrating art again was just so palpable. And that's how our documentary ends. And we all need each other to do this. Broadway does not operate from an actor and a director and a producer. Like, we need these other people. It's such a huge amount of people that make a show work.
The piano lesson hitting all the right notes on Broadway, the play just celebrating its opening night. The Pulitzer Prize winner from August Wilson is totally stacked with star power. Wicked is iconic, the 5th longest running musical in Broadway history, and still it's going strong. Paul Wontorek's here to pull back the curtain on the legend who plays the Wizard of Oz.
Thanks, Tamsen. A Tony Award winner for Dreamgirls, Cleavant Derricks is a Broadway legend who is back on the boards as the all-powerful wizard in Wicked. I got a chance to talk to him about his incredible career at the Citizen M Hotel. Welcome back to Broadway. I've certainly missed you. It's nice to have you back on the boards.
It's good to be back on the boards, my friend. I got to tell you, it really is. Once you're on Broadway and you've done Broadway, it never leaves you. It's always in your heart, as well as the city, New York City. So it's good to be back.
You are playing the wizard in Wicked, and he's a sentimental man. I was going to ask you, how sentimental are you about doing this show right now in your life?
It's a great way to come back to Broadway.
Yeah.
Number one, it's
And a big hit.
Yes, and a big hit, and with a great company. It's a joy. I can't jump around like I used to. So this is kind of nice to kind of like glide through and have nice little songs that you can sing. And it's a great way to kind of like come back to New York City and enjoy what brought you to the theater in the first place.
So tell me about that. When did you first get to New York, and what was that kid like?
I got to New York in 1977. I want you to know that I have a twin brother. And he was already here, and he was doing Your Arms Too Short to Box with God.
Yep.
I came in to study with Vinette Carroll, who had directed Your Arms Too Short to Box with God. So he brought me down to the workshop, which was called the Urban Arts Corps, and I was there to study acting. And I sat outside of the lobby, and I waited, and I would have to wait to be invited in. So I would walk down from 86th Street all the way down to 17th Street every day, wait in the lobby to see if I would get in to begin to learn to be an actor.
Wow.
I did that for about 2.5 months. And I told my brother, I've had enough. He said, she wants to know if you really, really want to be an actor. At that same time, my dad had passed away, and I left New York to go back to bury him. And my brother called me and said, listen, he said, I've auditioned for the revival of Hair. I can't do it because I'm doing Your Arms Too Short to Box with God. You've got to come up because I've told Tom Horgan, you can do this part.
Wow.
So I came up and I auditioned for Tom Horgan, got the part, and did that on Broadway. So that was my really first big break on Broadway. After that, I had no problems going into the Urban Arts Corps to learn to be an actor.
Are you and your brother identical twins?
Identical twins.
So it was just kind of like, he was like, well, they like me, so my
Right.
brother can do it too. He looks just like me.
He, just like me, he sings better than I do, and you should use him. And sure enough, I went in and got that part. And I started doing workshops after that. And Loretta Devine, whom I had worked with in one of the workshops, I passed her in the street one day. She said, Cleavant, she said, I'm doing a piece called Big Dreams. And I'm doing it down to Michael Bennett Studios, and she said, you should come down because Tom Iron is looking for you. So I get my briefcase with all my music and all, and I go down. Tom Iron opens the door. Cleavant, where the hell have you been? I've been looking for you. Get on in here, man. So I walk in and I'm introduced to Henry Krieger at the piano. And Henry is like, we have this song for you, Cleavant. We want you to hear this number. Henry Krieger. I've never known a man that could play a piano and you hear an entire band. And he did that with Fake Your Way to the Top. And I was like, oh my God, that is a song of a lifetime. And that's how I began with Dreamgirls.
Wow. There are famous credits, and then there are iconic credits. And Dreamgirls, I never got to see you play James Thunder early, but the album is so iconic. I grew up with your voice in my head, singing those songs. It kind of gives people a whole different connection to it, doesn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
it
it
does.
lives on in a whole different way because of that album.
It truly does. I give credit to Michael Bennett because when we were in the workshops doing the show, and the script, he sat down and he just looked at it, and we went through it. He said, you know what? He said, what if we sing the book?
So a lot of those scenes were originally spoken.
They were really
like
spoken.
The Firing of Jimmy, one of my favorite tracks.
Yes.
So good.
To this day, it was such a fascinating experience that I had in my life that I'll never forget. That show had fire to it. It had life to it. And the Tonys were the icing on the cake.
You're kind of known for working alongside big singing divas. So now you got the Witches of Oz.
Oh my God.
How are those? How are the witches over at Oz?
They're awesome. The witches are awesome. Each actress has certain elements of their character that enrich you and allow you to take your character and incorporate what they're doing into your character, which is a growth, which is something that you go, oh yeah, this is meat on the table, baby. Go ahead and take it. So you enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's really, really incredible, the talent. Not only just the lead actors, but the talent of the chorus, man, my God. All of those wonderful kids who are triple threats and the ones who fly on the wires, it's almost like a Cirque du Soleil part of it. You know what I mean? It's incredible.
Do you still get excited when it's ready to hit the stage and
Oh,
hear the orchestra, you hear the audience?
Every night, my man, every night. I'm telling you, the whole theater, everyone knows Cleavant. Cleavant's got this high energy. I'll come off of that stage after the first act, and I'm loud and I'm boisterous, and I'm like, oh my God, did you hear? Oh man, oh, I'm on fire. I knocked a minute off of that. Oh my God, it really is. It's thrilling, and you never get tired of it. I'll never get tired of it, and my family will see it and they'll tell you, you know, he loves it. He lives to act.
A whole lot more coming up next on The Broadway Show. Coming up, we'll talk to the authors of a new cookbook for Broadway lovers. Give my Swiss charge to Broadway. That and more puns headed your way. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show. Thanks for staying with us for this latest episode of The Broadway Show. Give my Swiss charge to Broadway. That's a new Broadway lovers cookbook from Tony nominee Gideon Glick and food writer Adam Roberts. We caught up with the authors.
Hi, I'm Gideon Glick.
I'm Adam Roberts.
We are the co-authors of Give My Swiss Charge to Broadway, and we are here in the heart of the theater district. We're both theater geeks. We love Broadway. We love food. I would say the original idea was to do this kid's book about a Broadway star named Bernadette Pizza.
Oh yeah, he tweeted about it, and then I saw the tweet, and we started chatting about it, and we came up with a bunch of puns, and then we wrote a book.
We started with like 100, then we culled it down to 75, and then we picked our 50 best.
And we were cracking each other up over text, like Sunday in the Pork with George, Chicken Breast Side Story, we some really good ones. Oh yeah, Bunch on this Island,
those are the
Yoklahoma.
original. Yeah. All of our recipes are inspired by Broadway musicals, like this one, for instance. We're here at the Majestic Theater at Phantom of the Opera, and we have Phantom of the Opera cakes.
And the idea here was that opera cake is a famous pastry, so we decided to make that a phantom-y thing. We did almond ask of you cupcakes with chocolate ganache frosting, so it's a great recipe.
And right behind us is the St. James Theater, where they are doing a production of Into the Woods, which inspired our dish, Pinto the Woods.
It's a Milky Way bean dip with greens, greens, and nothing but greens. So if you love the musical Into the Woods, this is the recipe for you. Well, if you love Broadway and you love cooking, this is the book for you. And
yes, it's out in bookstores everywhere, so run, 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 and get some.
Autumn is in the air, and we are really excited to give you the chance to fall for Broadway. This is awesome. It's our Fall Back to Broadway sweepstakes. So there's a lot on the line here. We're giving you a round-trip airfare to New York City, a 3-night stay in the heart of the theater district, plus a pair of tickets to see 3 Broadway shows, including MJ and A Beautiful Noise, a visit to the brand new Museum of Broadway, as well as lunch at the famed Broadway restaurant Sardi's, where you'll get an exclusive Q&A session with a legit Broadway star. It's the Fall Back to Broadway sweepstakes. Enter right now at thebroadwayshow.com. It's a whole new world, and it's coming soon to a city near you. Charlie Cooper caught up with the stars of the North American tour of Disney's Aladdin.
You guys are playing Aladdin and Jasmine. What's it like to know that you are taking on these roles that mean so much to people? Does pressure come with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of pressure. It's amazing though. Like, it's a great show that's just filled with magic, fun, and romance as well.
A lot of people grew up with them. I know I grew up with Jasmine. She was my princess growing up. Like, that, she was the one that looks like me, you know? So it's so special to be able to step into her shoes and get to be her for myself and a lot of other little girls around the country.
I love that you mentioned that. I feel like this is a full circle moment for both of you guys. You as someone who has an Afghanistani background, and you as someone who played Aladdin as a kid. Can you guys kind of talk about that?
It's a full circle moment that I didn't expect to happen. Like, once I had played Aladdin in 8th grade, I thought, you know, that's the end for me with Aladdin. But when this came around, I was ecstatic, and I was glad that I was able to do it again, because it's just such an iconic role that defines so much of myself.
And I'm really excited to be the first Afghan princess, Jasmine. There's not a lot of us. Jasmine is just so special to me. I tell the story to everybody, but I named my middle sister Jasmine. When she was born, my parents didn't know what to name her. I was like, please name her Jasmine. And she's Jasmine now.
So it's 2 pretty new faces. Do you guys ever feel imposter syndrome at all?
I feel like I definitely do. I feel like I'm really aware of how I want to present myself to everybody, because this is my very first professional show I've ever done. And so I want to set a good example and a good face for who I want people to know who I am in this industry.
I feel like there's little time for me to feel that imposter syndrome. I'm like fully focused on getting the best show possible. I mean, sometimes it's evident that, we're really young, but I think everyone's just putting in their all, and because of that, it's just become our own show.
What does it look like for you guys preparing, whether it's maybe your eating, your diet, your whatever it might look like? I imagine life has changed a bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like we got thrown into the rehearsal process really fast. We have about like 5 weeks to put this show together. And I feel like I went from like a summer of just relaxing, getting ready for the show to like every day, like 10 to 6 rehearsals. Yeah, everything's moving fast, but I feel like we're starting to get into the groove of things and everything's starting to feel a little more real.
Yeah, I mean, when I got the part, I was like, oh, I have to be shirtless for almost 2 hours on stage. I gained some muscle. I've been losing some fat, so I'm excited.
That's going to do it for us. But until next time, check out The Broadway Show Uncut wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.